쐐𝐶 ḍāṃ dewa da deve Yorje dongwai dai dongwai je je dai ndalwai Yorje dongalai mebe dewa damba Mendalawai Yorje nyere jadai nye dai ndave danyam chembal Nebarai Yoroi Je Chadalai Wadai Chujine Shabadai Jesu Kuishe Zulwai Je Jewai Jungze Dai Je Jezai Tamche Zobe Janjai Jerengwai Wai Sashi Bechu Chushi Medai Riraba Leje Nyende Jembai De Sanje Shingdui Migde Pulwa Ye Droga Namda Shingla Je Barai Joi Zemje Namje Sambai Da Loye Je 제정의 더 대바의 최제 걸로 걸어도 솔로
Very good afternoon, everyone, and also greetings to all the viewers as well. So, how do we proceed today? Have you had some time to go through the root text? Yeah? A little bit? Very good. And how was your feeling? Simple? Yeah. Yes. I mean, the author Shantideva didn't try to be sophisticated or to make it too flowery, you know. He composed these words really just as sort of sharing his thoughts. Yeah. And so therefore from the very first verse all the way till the end, it's like as if having a very dear friend giving you his or her thought, you know, but very honest, very open. So therefore not filtering too much, yet at the same time not in a way where it's too difficult to digest also. And so therefore it's very carefully put together. And so therefore, I mean, this literature, and then if you want to have a sort of a handbook, then it's the other one, Bodhisattva's practice or application by Ngutsu Tome or Tome Zangbo, who was a Tibetan who have summarized this whole Bodhisattva's way, the whole 10 chapters into 37 verses, So then it's even more practical. Yeah. So it's just zooming in and zooming out. Simple. Yeah. But like I said, because of language difference, because of maybe some cultural difference, but not much actually. Yeah. Because it doesn't talk about too much about, or doesn't really talk about altitude or what coast or anything like that, but just basic human feeling, one could put it that way, or basic, when we say human, I mean, what is human? Yeah, we really don't know how a human being should behave, should not behave. We don't know. We are probably as good as an animal, That's not a way of putting ourselves down. Maybe we are putting ourselves up by saying that also. We never know. But yeah, we are moving, We are moving things. We are in motion, We are changing, forever changing, forever moving. And so therefore what is really human? And so therefore in this case, when he says you or I, he's not really saying you as in I'm here and you're there and, not in that sense. As if he is judging or anything, that somehow he's more experienced or anything. It's just he's sharing his thoughts. And through his extensive experience about himself, and through that recognition, then he can kind of relate to others better. Because what is the main characteristic that we all have is the mind or the consciousness, Probably some of you may have gone through a few topics about the so-called mental events, or the 51 mental events to be more precise, or 52, I don't know. Numbers don't really matter. They could be more, they could be less. But, yeah, mental events, mental aspects, or branches of how the mind flows, tendencies, according to how it's paved, Like I said yesterday, the mind is kind of like a water. And if there is a particular channel that is either man-made or not, then it flows along the way. There is no real agenda there that I want to flow this way or that way. And by saying that, how it's paved, it shows also the interdependence in a way. Yeah. So that's there. So Shantideva, when he says you or me or or when I say he's talking about the human nature or something like that, it just means basically how this abstract thing called mind, obviously it's abstract, yeah? It's not tangible, it's not visible, you cannot capture it, you cannot examine it. The only visible thing is what we say the physical state, but even that also becomes an abstract. But what our eyes can see, or ears can hear, or through our faculties what we can experience, yes, there is something. Given the conditions, given the conditions, you can experience various things. Given the right amount of conditions, it can stay healthy. Given maybe a lack of that condition, maybe falls ill. We don't know. And so, if you examine that human aspect, whatever that is, or more that mental state or state of mind, then if we teach ourselves from the moment we can pretty much walk and talk in a little bit more sophisticated way than other physical conditions, then it can produce very interesting emotions, happiness, sorrow, all sorts of things. And so, now we have put together all of this and put a noun, by saying human state or human mind. Practical, one word captures everything, sort of thing. And so according to that, then if there is a lack of enthusiasm in how that mind flows, meaning if it's just captured, that's it, caged, if it's just caged, then it can only do so much. But if it is set free, then it can do wonders also, or just maybe a little bit different, or just different from the state of being caged. So, diligence, or the state of mind, or the advices that are given by saying, how come you, or how come the mind functions this way? How come the mind is like that? It's not really, it's not really being accusive, accusing or demeaning or degrading anything. It's just saying how strange this mind functions, When it seems to be caged, it functions in a different way. When it seems to be set free, it also seems to function in a different way. How come? Like I said yesterday, the perspective and the attitude is like bird watching, or nature watching. And so therefore, if I chase the mind or the bird with the camera, then you'll only see one side. If I don't chase, then you'll see something else, or you don't see something else. So how strange. So more in that, leaning more towards that. So therefore, it's not a way to put ourselves down. Shantideva was not trying to put ourselves down by saying, you little thing, puny little thing, puny human, you know. I copied that line from the Hulk. So, yeah, not really in that sense. Yeah, it's just strange, you know. First, I mean, if you're able to really meditate, really meditate, the first sign of having a good meditation is to really, truly feel and experience for yourself by thinking, but by, I don't know, thinking or feeling how strange, you know, like really genuinely, like sort of thing, you know. And yeah, that's a good sign. Yeah. Then from there, maybe if you further meditate, you might feel or see or experience how interesting, you know, and then further how marvelous or things like that. To begin with, maybe interesting and marvelous, maybe not, doesn't seem to fit so well, yeah. Especially when we look at tragedies, let's say, personal tragedies, intimate tragedies and so on. So the first thing one can maybe experience in a way, in terms of progress, then is strange, you know, very strange. You cannot say it's good, you cannot say it's bad, you cannot say it's in between or something else, you know, but strange, very strange. So that's how 𝐿𝐴 is trying to say when he says you, and how come, you know. So there is no accusation at all from any angle. Yeah. What will he gain from there? Yeah, if he was accusing within his lifetime, what benefit is there? After long after his departure, what benefit is there for him and for ourselves? Nothing. So it's not in any way a form of accusation at all. Yeah. And so therefore, we don't have to feel belittled, you know. Because emotionally we could feel that way. Oh, I'm an alcoholic, or I'm something, or I'm a coffee addict, or I don't know, whatever, you know. So that's something to keep in mind, I feel. Yeah. So, in that sense, it's a great friend. Yeah. One could say 𝐿𝐴 is a great friend, or the literature is a great friend, whatever, you know. The more you read, the more you recite, or the more you repeat reading, it gets better. Yeah. So it's not like any other literature where you read once, of course, with a bit of clarity, and then that's it, you know. When you read it the second time, you feel, I know that. Whereas in this case, the more you read, the more interesting it gets, the more intimate it gets. That's the difference. Because as I said yesterday or day before, every aspect of the literature is focused on very basic human emotions. Yeah. Very basic human how to say, occurrences, you know. So therefore, anyway, I've said it already. So yesterday we left with the question of from the second verse, meaning from the question and answer, that aspect where it says in Tibetan "jilu," where I said jelly leg, and I forgot what the English translation for that was. Do you remember? Sorry? Yeah, self something. Self-contempt. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so three things, right? So three types of laziness. Enjoying or that having the craving to do something else, one could say, one. And then self-contempt or how do you say? Lacking interest, I suppose. That's one way of putting it. And then the third one, sort of putting ourselves down. So those are the three types of laziness. And so therefore now, if you give in to those, or basically not really give in, they can occur when there is peacetime, That's one way of putting it, or a way I would like to put it, yes. During turmoil, during I suppose particularly tragedies or during obstacles, we are more alert actually. Yeah. So that's why it's a very fine line to talk about dukkha, I feel. When we talk about dukkha, when the subject of dukkha becomes religious is because when it becomes religious is when we kind of see that very simple logic, When there is turmoil, the mind seems to be more alert. And so therefore, we feel that, okay, what we want is the mind to be more alert or to be more aware. So how do we do that? How do we simplify that? Well, turmoil seems to be good. Pain seems to be good. So pain is a good thing, That's why we in a very simple way, we turn everything around and turn it very, I'm not demeaning the word religion at all, of course. It's beautiful. But nevertheless, it kind of becomes religious here by saying suffering is good, pain is good. But it's not saying you have to suffer, because then that's when more confusions come. Yeah. But nevertheless, peacetime is our worst enemy. Somehow, That's another way of putting dukkha, I suppose. Because that's when everything's okay. Suddenly there was a good compromise. There was a treaty was formed, and there was goodwill, and justice or whatever, And then as a result, we experience some sort of a peacetime. It lasts very, very short. Yeah. And it has the power to somehow make us too relaxed, and to a point where all these three types of laziness can come into being. Yeah. So it's a fine line in some ways to talk about diligence or effort or 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, It's not saying let go of peace, let go of peacetime and suffer, because it could sound that way to our ears, to our mind. Yeah. But that's not the case at all, I feel. What it's saying is that, in a very skillful way, of course, that once again observe and watch the nature of life, If you really observe it carefully, there is not a single moment where there is no turmoil in a way. Yeah. Because our cells are changing, which is still very mildly put. Actually, our cells are dying, Each of the cells are dying, yet at the same time they are reproducing, of course. And so therefore it's very strange, once again, strange to think it's the same cell, or it's the same cells. Obviously not. The cells of our skin, our blood, our bone, our hair, our nails, saliva, everything, actually it's not the same at all. It has very short lifespan, But in terms of how to say, like Formula One, it gives up one thing for certain advantages, So in the same way, then the so-called cells are doing the same thing. Yes, they may have very short lifespan, but at the same time, it's focusing probably more on the reproduction aspect, So therefore, it continues to reproduce. Yeah. Got an alarming scale, and so therefore we feel that it's the same me. We look into the mirror, and it's still the same. We see a person, we see a friend, we feel it's pretty much the same, just with a few minor changes, But it's not, yeah. And so therefore, we begin to kind of relax, And we given to us, according to this literature, then say, that kind of state of mind makes us too relaxed that, either we fall asleep or we basically begin to lack interest in doing anything, whether it's into worldly things or spiritual things goes. And so therefore the third aspect, which is the most important one, is really essential to, or healthy, healthy, to focus on the nature of cells, I could put it, how it transforms, Because right now, with our eyes, we can only see a certain aspect of, certain level of zooming, But with the help of microscopes and all that, we can zoom in a little better. And from that scale, if you draw out our blood or hair or examine it under it, each of us are democratically, changing. Our cells are democratically changing, no matter who we are, or race or creed or whatever, So, yes, peacetime is the enemy. Yeah. So, observe once again. Yeah. Observe, observe, and observe some more. I mean, if you really focus on what makes us tick, yes, what makes us let go of the previous chapter in a matter of moment, it's so subtle and so minute that it's amazing, actually. Yeah. But why do we get angry like that? Why do we become upset like that so fast, out of nowhere? It's because we haven't observed enough, or let's say, or we have ignored that observation, that so-called selves are changing, And so therefore, we think it's the same me, same you, and yesterday's moment is still too vivid. That's as far as we can go. But of course, if we have anyway, so it's that kind of habit, very strange, very strange. Because of it, then because of those habits, then we once again name something. Now we have peace, Now the wall is broken, or now the flag is there, or something, Obviously not, yeah. That's just completely fabricated and made up. And so therefore, more observation. So from the fourth and fifth, both the verses are basically saying that the fourth one is basically saying, I think, yes, I think, is basically saying or talking about the nature of birth, It's not saying we shouldn't wish to be reborn or something like that, or we have to put an end to birth, control birth or something like that. Very touchy subjects, of course. So Shantideva is not talking about controlling birth or ending birth or anything like that. Yeah. He's just basically saying that what we call this, what we call life, what we call cells, I don't know, is somehow it's extremely natural or normal, one could say, or consistent, that if there is birth, or we say if there is life, it means that first thing birth, last thing death, it's there. It's classic, it's evergreen in a way, that's there. And so therefore, if we are trying to ignore that fact, then once again, we are giving every right and room to become, what we say here, lazy, because it's not about politics, it's not about religion, it's not about anything else. It's the simple truth, the simple fact, yeah. And so therefore, if we observe that, if we open ourselves to that, then we can somehow feel a form of acceptance, I think, yeah. That we are not completely distraught when we experience change or when we experience impermanence. And so therefore, how come that we are not aware of that? Because now, in terms of the cause for those births, then it's very simple. It's none other than klesha. It's none other than that lack of awareness. We really don't have to say defilement or ignorance or something like that in the form of noun. But it's that lack of awareness. It's that lack of observation. That's in this case, in Tibetan, 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, the main 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, or the main klesha, the main factor. And so therefore, lack of awareness, lack of observation. And so therefore, that is if there has to be an enemy, then that is it. And that enemy, if you observe carefully, is what is really destroying your kind, it says, I think, something like that. So haven't you seen it? And so therefore, of course that's not the main focus, I'm just saying it in that way. And so there, of course, he's talking about, in this case, sleep. And so therefore, how come we can be so relaxed? How come we can nap? How come we can go for that extra mile of nap? Once again, it's not saying we cannot nap or we cannot sleep. That's explained yesterday. But how come we are so relaxed? Because there is no real peacetime from the moment we are born until we go to the... I don't remember the name in English. Mortuary? Mortuary, yeah, mortuary, yes. So, yeah, there is no peacetime. It's constant change, constant pushing, constant shoving, all of that. And so therefore, how come that you are not viewing that, or you are not observing that? Haven't you seen it? And more importantly, if you focus on that, then we are just like, of course, the examples are given very clear, that we are like animals that are to be slaughtered, no matter how cleverly put together, the skillfully put together the butchering aspect, how to say, or maybe I'm going into a different direction. That's just like the animals that are to be butchered. How to say? The analogy is that basically, seemingly from our point of view, the animals that are to be slaughtered seem to look quite relaxed, even though they are heading towards that fate, one could say. They seemed quite relaxed. They are still going. And tails just. But it's actually from the escalator, it's heading towards there, Still focus on whatever is there, and however many mosquitoes are there at the back, the tail, But it's going somewhere. And so, if they are not aware, again, how strange, If they are aware, then in the next verse it says, even if you are aware, all passages are blocked, there's no escape. Please don't take this too religiously, you know. Yeah, that's there. And so if we find that peculiar, strange, and in this case, I suppose, stupid, you know, then so is our mind. Because from the moment of birth until death, there is not a moment of rest, and there is nothing predetermined, you know, particularly the human state, in terms of how long we will live, how healthy we will live, when is the next change of passport. No guarantee, you know. There you go, son, you know. There is no knowing whatsoever. Yeah. Even the most highly trained practitioners, they don't know, you know. Nobody knows. Yeah. Nobody knows. And so therefore, we are supposed to be more alert, we are supposed to be more aware, and so therefore we are supposed to be endowed with being able to do something about it. But even though we are endowed with those qualities, if we are not doing anything, then we are as good as those animals that will be butchered, you know. No difference whatsoever. Yeah. So in that sense, it's very practical. So how come we are so relaxed? How come we are believing that there is peacetime, you know? Peacetime for the next 10 years, 15 years, you know, according to how our health report came, you know. Yeah. So therefore, how come we are able to stare into the eyes of the butcher, in this case the emotion or the so-called death, which is again another noun. There's no such thing as real death, of course, but that's the way we can put it. So how come we are able to still, you know, and fall asleep? So therefore, since this is all, if it's predetermined in terms of maybe we have a certain lifespan, it's still not good news, you know. It's ending. On the other hand, because it's so sudden, so abrupt, we are approaching towards that gate from all angles. And so therefore, every reason to accumulate merit, accumulate wisdom, not to say suddenly become very, you know, dramatically helpful all of a sudden. You know, hey, how come you suddenly become such a good friend or something like that, you know? Not in that sense, but once again, accumulate merit by observing. Yeah. Observe, observe, observe. Yeah, so and then 8th and 9th verses are basically saying then, too relaxed, and so therefore later. I did say a little bit yesterday, you know. We could think, I'm healthy enough, my sugar level is, okay, not the best, but okay, you know, cholesterol so-so, arthritis, not too bad, and so on and so forth. And so therefore, later, you know. And so therefore, that's Very simple, very innocent, but very, very, how to say, destructive actually. Yeah. And so therefore, basically laziness, And since now, if you focus on the aspect of the so-called noun, the very noun death, then there is no guarantee when it will come, how soon it will come, how abrupt it will come. And in this case, the 8th and 9th verse, I think, is basically saying, should we have some idea of when? Let's say now, I'm so old or so young, and so therefore I still have a few more years, because I'm so young. So so from that perspective, it's almost suggesting that we know, in a certain way, how long, or how long the time, how long we will live, let's say. So meaning quite fortunate, So already almost at the deathbed, or from the announcement of the doctor saying you have such and such months or years to live and so on, suddenly, of course it's normal, suddenly to remember, I don't know, maybe finally meditation. Finally remember Guru Yoga. Finally remember 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿. I don't know, anything, or Shantideva, or calling the Lama from afar, or something like that. Basically saying, too late. Yeah. But then again, this is not in any way to say, to panic us or to hurry us into doing something spiritually drastic, So once again, observation. Observe it, and if you observe long enough, you will know exactly what to do. And if he, if he just get to the point, we will know what to do is none other than just already from here, from this very moment. If meditation is supposed to help, we will meditate now. If doing 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, we will do it now, not later, not postpone that at all. And so therefore, you can read the emotion in terms of feeling now I'm done or I'm finished and all that. Yes, then of course it's very simple. How can friends, family, and doctors, what can they do? Nothing, Even if they want to help, there's nothing one can do. And you have nothing to do but just to stare into the eyes of the Grim Reaper, and so on. Dīnā mājī sāmbādān, dājī chēpa nāpa lō lōbōr chidā wōni 𝐂𝐨𝐿𝐵𝐬𝐿 sāmbādān, nyāngiñ shūkī tāmbāyā, mīmār dōnglēn chīmādān, nyatūrē dāchō bādā, shīnjī pōnyā chīnādā, rāndē tēmbē dōngādā, nyā wērē nā tōbāyā, tāpē mā tsāli gōrī, nyā pār chū tsū chī chā, ugdān sēkdān shīnjū chī chāngchō, tōpā mā njērō, dāgī chāngchō tōpāyā, dōngādā nā tsūyō dā, sūngū khōnglā nā sāchō, lūmā tōpā dōngā chī, mīmbā kōnchō sūchī chī, mīdiyā wāyā nā mē chī, They were doing one about the 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿. You will look upon the faces of your hopeless friends, or the English, I don't need to give a long. And so then from the 8th verse, stanza, all the way, 𝐂𝐨𝐮𝐫𝐬𝐞 천도 지던데기는 늦은냐마면서 동안은 매주 주신 진내래보는 전체전한 로서가 냐와기는 내주는 지천 내들 때는 전면 대본도 봐 저래진 않나마 체외중전한다고 기후 동화다고 미 둘러대는 동화초 체를 준다 치는 얘가에 온바트서 님을 가외주는 타입 남처가wen 초반은 동화주의 용어도 그것을 지적이 지루 메타본스도 혼란다는 거는 좀 다단전다냐 봐 다단전도 제거지. Yes, so I read until the 16th stanza. So it's self-explanatory, most of these verses, in terms of that, due to laziness, if you keep postponing, I mean, we have every right to postpone, we have the full privilege to postpone, then it's not saying if you do that, it's a sin, or you'll feel yourself as part of the human race or something like that. It's just saying, from his experience, what he saw is exactly as he described, is that we think we have the right, we think we have the privilege, we think when the death comes, or when that when the time comes, or when the present passport is going to expire, I'll face it. I know what to do. I'm strong enough. I'm a very courageous and strong person, and so on and so forth. He said, think again, basically, Right now, it's easy for us to say, but when the actual moment comes, first of all, we would not know when it will come, Mostly it will just happen just like that, like a flash. And at the very, very best, maybe we will know in a very progressive way, consciously, conscious death, the amazing conscious death. Even then, it's not easy at all, Suddenly you will have all kind of worries about the debt, or tax, or I don't know, all sorts of things, friends, who will take care of my parents, who will take care of my friend, who will take care of my children, all sorts of things, really realistic things. And so therefore, it's not as heroic as one thinks right now, because it's not just that expiry date, or that very day is not it's not just one alone, it connects to everyone that we know, and so therefore it changes the whole factor of things. And so in that sense, then it's only normal or natural or good or decent to already take care of it now. To take care of it now in terms of I mean, there's not really something that we can take care of it actually. That's also something to think about. There isn't, yeah. How can you fix everything now? If you could, maybe we would have done it already, It doesn't work that way. But at least from our, what we say, from our mind or from our mental state, if we had enough reflection, we have a good enough grasp on how life is, and so therefore now we have not that much expectation, and but emotionally, of course, we do what we can, but beyond that, we have somehow let go of many things, plans, promises, and so therefore there is, hopefully through that, then we will be able to somehow well, not really to say prepare for that moment, not in that sense, because it might sound like that, but through that observation, then we are more at ease. And the aspect of acceptance is somehow better, And so therefore, you never know, maybe you will not get another passport, You will not, or how to say, you will not renew your passport. Very interesting, Or maybe your passport will be renewed one way or the other, by your choice or by the judicial system, I don't know. Either way, you're a little bit okay. So, therefore, it is wise, it is noble, since we are trying to follow the ways of the Bodhisattvas, then to, once again, to let go of all those dreams or expectations. It's not to say you cannot dream, you cannot aspire. Your destiny is to die, and not in that sense. Is that as long as there are conditions for you to renew your passport, it will happen. For how long, we really don't know. It's difficult to say. If you can stop renewing your passport, it's another interesting aspect. That's what it's saying. So it's not in any way, because Buddhism might be seen as a way to, a method to extinct life. Sometimes it's seen that way, but that's not the case at all. So yes, very many analogies are given of how terrifying it is, how not noble it is to give in to laziness. In terms of analogy, like basically until the 16th, then all the examples are sort of like saying, maybe it's too abstract, too abstract to think about the renewal of our passport, or the idea of, I don't know, confusion, pain, all of it, the confusion or the pain of others, in short, basically, And so therefore it may be all just a theory, it may be all just too abstract, basically. And so therefore then he's giving examples that of others, could be animals, could be human beings, in terms of their state, unless we are completely numb, almost like a robot. But beside that, if you focus on how others feel pain, let's say, due to the change or due to the nature of life, and particularly if they are, in this case, butchered or caught or if they are stricken by sickness or stricken by the slow pain of death and all that, how do they, how does it look, So in this case, it's not saying, once again, I have to repeat this over and over again. So it's not saying pain is good, look at pain, face pain, come face to face with pain. There's no such order here. But if you can somehow have the courage to look at it, to view it, it's very interesting. Meaning, if one, most of you might have already, you might have visited, I think all of you have visited hospitals due to this or that reason, and then it's interesting, isn't it? There you see all sorts of stages of illness, stages of aging, stages of confusion and all that. And so therefore, I'm not saying you have to go there, but if you have, you can connect. If you haven't, don't be afraid when somehow the conditions take place for you to be there. At that time, the best thing we can do is not really ignore what we see or what we experience, And even though even after seeing all of that, it may still be some sort of an abstract for us in terms of someone else falling sick, someone else dying, but maybe not me, because I'm healthy enough, or maybe I don't share the same condition. Everyone is different. Not everyone falls ill the same way. Like that saying of lightning doesn't strike twice or something, so it's never the same. Sure. But nevertheless, for the fact that we are born, for the fact that we have this human condition, whether it's an animal condition or human condition or godly condition, doesn't matter. Since we have this, it's only natural that in time that we will go through those things if we haven't already, And so therefore, if we observe enough, then it doesn't become an abstract for us. In fact, it's very relatable. And in that sense, not to say we will panic or we should panic, we should drastically do things differently, we should suddenly stop eating, stop our profession, not in that sense, but just step by step, observe, and then something happens by itself or by ourselves, of kind of, okay, maybe we don't know, we might not know exactly what to do, we might feel very dumbfounded, surprised, shocked, very, very confused. That's all possible, those are the symptoms. But even though those are the symptoms, it's not necessarily a bad thing, It's part of it, It's a symptom, And from there, then one will know more or less what one can do, and you have spiritual friends, such as, fellow practitioners or someone with a little bit more experience, so-called teacher. Then that's where they do their thing, That's where they can be most helpful. Right now, they can be, or they may be trying to be helpful, but at the moment, it's annoying, Too much lecture, too much advice, too much, pushing, in shoving and so on. So therefore, observe, 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 without telling yourself that I have to do something, but just observe, observe. And then suddenly you get to that point where you almost by one could say instinct that you know what to do. And if you are confused, then spiritual friends will be there. Yeah. Then they can give. Then that's the moment where you can become you can develop a very good relation, and not in any way feel invasive or anything, but feel extremely natural. Yeah. I want to know something, you know something, that's it. Then you can learn from there. Yes, then of course it continues to talk in some detail about the Avicii or hell realm. I think that was probably a very common topic those days. Like I said yesterday, in some ways maybe it's too religious. That's there. But in some ways, is that our diet has been mostly flavored by sugar and salt, and so we are not so used to other flavors or spices, and so therefore such topics become, But whereas I think those days, during the time of Shantideva, to talk about hell was, it was very common, it was very normal. So therefore, in some ways, those days, it was not in any way sort of a way to create, very strange fantasies, He was just basically saying, if you eat too much sugar, you will have diabetes. So therefore, if you do too many bad things, then there is hell. So therefore, bad things, sugar or excessive sugar, hell, diabetes. So it was very plain and simple. Yeah. So if you can relate it to these verses that way, then it's not a way to really create panic or to make it very unpleasant at all. And so therefore, according to that, then in the 13th stanza says, so testy and thick-skinned, is that the one? Yeah, I think that's the one. Yes. 12th and 13th. How can you remain at ease like this when you have done the deeds that lead to contact on your tender baby flesh or boiling liquids in the hell of extreme heat? So testy and thick-skinned, you want results without endeavor. Many other troubles now in store for you. Though in the grip of death, you are behaving like a god, and suffering, alas, will beat you down. So, yes. As I said before, the reading of the verses, if we have that kind of perspective, then these verses are very approachable, and it doesn't sound religious at all. It's just stating fact. Yeah. That If the condition of if the human realm, if our realm right now, if this room, if our body, speech, and mind, if this is real, then the logic is very simple. Then there could be other conditions. If this is not real, then the others are also not real. If there was yesterday, there was past life. If there is tomorrow, there is next life. Very simple, like that. So in that sense, if right now is pleasant, there could be unpleasant experiences also. So very logical. So in that sense, if our human condition is thick-skinned, then the so-called lower realms are thin-skinned. So like that. Yeah. So therefore, it's very simple. I don't think there is sun in the hell realm, but due to the lava, you can still get very strong tan. And it's almost like as if it's designed to get very strong tan, because the skin is extremely sensitive, like that of a baby. I mean, that's just an example, but it's supposed to be very, very sensitive. So therefore, it's really perfect to gain very strong tan. And so, but it's supposed to be very magical also. Yeah. Every fiber of your being, every fiber of your fiber is almost alive. It is as if they are conscious of them, by themselves or of themselves. It's almost a state of enlightenment. It's just not in the right way. And so therefore, every aspect of the realm, your state, it's almost as if it's completely conscious. So conscious, but it's too conscious. And so therefore, it just doesn't know what to do. It just doesn't know what to do, and it's like being in immense shock. And that the shock is too real that it's almost physical. It's like that. It's more like that. And so therefore, what we say, careful what you wish for, sort of thing. It's good to wish to be alert and things like that, but with the right method, with the right means. If one does that, that's why it says, go together with merit and wisdom, compassion and wisdom. If you go one-sided, extreme, then very strange things happen. If the so-called hell realm is real, then it is supposed to be the case where one can remember very clearly every time something happens. You see a volcano somewhere there erupting, and you know exactly why that's happening. You have a pimple, you know exactly why that happens. Everything. It's very strange. Everything is clear. Everything, yet at the same time you have no real control over it. It's a very unique place. Anyway, like I said, we don't have to see that as something solid, existing, like I said, out of a noun. Is our human condition really, really real? It's very questionable. Because the human condition that we had yesterday is completely gone. The human condition that we might have tomorrow is not here at all, and it will never arrive, never ever. But if we bend our mind in such a way, either by laziness, or either by anger, or either by stinginess, or either by a lack of, serenity or calmness. Yeah. The very present moment could feel as pleasant as right now, or unpleasant as we can, as we can imagine. Yeah. Or, something like a painful memory that we may have, it can be as vivid as that. Yeah. And so therefore, at the 16th verse, I think it is, it says, so now, no room for sleep, no room for jelly leg, no room for, most importantly, to let go of, to observe the nature of life, meaning nature of how the mind strangely and uniquely functions. Yeah. That it has the power to make all sorts of things real, all sorts of things unreal, and therefore do something new. I mean, that's where I will put it, Do something that you have never done before. Maybe remotely you may have done in the past, or maybe to a certain extent we may have done in the past, and that's why we can feel a sense of friendship, fellowship, family. It's some sort of a residual of having done something a little bit unique in the past. But here right now, we can explore that doing or pursuing that unique quality like never before. So in this case, what is it? To see that, to focus on the equality of others, of oneself with others. Meaning that the mental state, we're not focusing too much on the physical aspect, but on the mental state, Laziness can come to everyone, and if it comes, how much of a trouble it is, how annoying it is, and how challenging it is. And if one is free from that, how wonderful it is, So in that sense, to use this precious birth or precious condition to, first of all, to relate to others, and then secondly, well, maybe it's an ambitious thing, but to exchange one's places, Of course, we cannot exchange places, of course, But it's the thought that counts, one could say, It's not a complete fantasy. In those very rare moments, it does happen. That wish, at least, that aspiration is there. If you really see someone, it can be, babies or children or adults or anyone, If our mind, because our mind is very sharp and clear, yes? If one can see that here there is no politics, there is no religion, there is no, incentive? I don't know. That there is no room for any of those, calculation, There's no room for calculation, That I do something, I do for you, and you do for me, or something like that, you know. And so basically, it can be in the state of a great challenge or pain or something. If one experiences that, then if our mind is sane enough, any one of us can feel a sense of compassion. Yes? Any one of us can feel a sense of kindness, where we feel, I wish I could change our places, you know. So in this case, of course, we're not talking about all sentient beings and all that, but there's always that room for that genuine feeling where I feel that I wish I could change my places, you know, or our places. And so therefore, where is it? And so therefore, yes, the 16 says, practice the exchange of self and other. So then use that moment, use our practice of observation, and if you do it enough, then yes, we will surely get there. We will surely get there, where we feel that genuine sense of how do you say, equality, one could say, you know, without saying, or my human right, or my this right and that right, you know. I mean, great things, you know, beautiful things, beautiful concepts. They're all bridges to help us connect, no matter how useful they are or cumbersome they are. Great bridges, you know. But in this case, without really focusing on any of those subjects, a genuine sense of equality, that just as I have this confusion, or just as I have a toothache, you know, your toothache, you know, I wish I could change our gums, or I don't know. So, you know, it's possible. So all this is possible if we are able to focus enough on the quality of exchange, of observation, sorry. Yes. Well, okay. Before I continue, maybe we could do 1-2 questions, and then I will try to continue. Yes? The mic is behind you.
Dear Karmapa, thank you for your precious teachings. Today you were talking a lot about the changing of our passport. I'm a student of 𝐊𝐈𝐁𝐈 from Europe, and we have had the great opportunity to be introduced in practicing the puva,
Yes.
and we have practiced with him several
Yes.
times. My first question would be, now 𝐊𝐈𝐁𝐈 doesn't teach it any longer.
Okay.
Who would be able, for our friends or for anyone who would love to practice the puva or to get the initiation of that,
Yes.
to have? So this is my first question.
Okay.
And the second one, I already asked it 6 years ago, before, if it's possible to have the Mahakala mantra. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Yes. So, one way of putting it is, or maybe I shouldn't put it that way. Okay. When the merit is there, the merit is there, you know. Simple as that. Yeah. How to say? You cannot force anything. Yeah. It's impossible. But of course, it might sound a little bit unpleasant, in a way, saying it's like saying either you have it or you don't have it, you know. And so therefore it might sound a little bit unpleasant to listen, you know. But it's not completely like that also. Yeah. Aspirations goes a long way, and through that then merits come together. Yeah. And then when there is genuine aspiration, then merits manifest in various forms, physical forms, verbal forms, mental forms, all sorts of forms. Yeah. Of course, they both appear and disappear also. It's another way of saying, you know, in this and that from the moment you're born, it's bound to dissolve. You know? So that's there. Yeah. So therefore, make aspirations for the merit to manifest, for there to be merit and for the merit to manifest. Yes. And the mantra is there for the last few days by reciting the Madagma. Madagma is a very long version of the mantra. Yeah. Yes. Yes, please, yes.
So we have several questions from the streaming, and maybe if I could, I will combine one into one. How to observe without judging, and how to observe with a great compassion.
With great compassion?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes. I mean, if we cannot help ourselves from judging, we cannot help ourselves, you know. From someone who is doing the judging, maybe not necessarily doing the judging, actually. Maybe that person is genuinely feeling that I'm just giving my opinion, you know, very simple. But to others, it might sound, feel, look like a judgment. That's always, that possibility is always there. You just cannot stop it, you know. And so therefore, part of the beautiful aspect of being a Bodhisattva is to observe how I opinionate. Yeah. I think that's very important. Because in my own head, the way I hear my sound right now, of my own voice, might sound kind of okay, you know. But then, if I do a recording of my own voice and listen to it, it's completely different, you know. And so it's almost unpleasant that I don't want to listen to my own voice at all. Because right now the way I hear it is different because my ears are here, not there, you know. So it sounds very different. Sounds even maybe okay, you know. But horrendous when you hear it from another angle. Yeah. So it could be the same way to others. And so therefore, accordingly, it's very wise and skillful to see how I opinionate, you know. I cannot help myself but to opinionate, you know. It's the way I'm brought up, it's the way I am right now. I cannot change that, fine, you know. But you can dial up and dial down and tune differently to come across according to the listeners. So because part of the practice of Bodhisattva is to say, giving something that is necessary, to convey things in an elegant way, and then to do things and to act things that are accordance with others, And so therefore one can tweak, and still be very critical and opinionative. Yeah. So by doing so, then you are caring, You are caring you're caring others' feelings. You are caring others' emotions. Today they may be very sensitive. They may have a very sensitive ear or ears, but tomorrow maybe not. So just for today, I try to be skillful. Tomorrow I don't really have to bother, because it will never come. Yeah. So just for today. Yeah. So yes, that also involves some form of diligence, but we don't have to pressure ourselves to say, now I have to, in this case, I have to be diligent, You don't use the word diligence at all, and just think today. Just think, how do I see myself? How do I hear myself? So if one is not a big fan of how you see yourself or hear yourself, then it's quite there. I think it's very rare that rare for most people to really like how they see or how they hear themselves. It's a very interesting phenomena. I think very rare. Only a few can admire that. Because most of the time we want to be someone else, We want to look like someone else. We want to sound like someone else. We want to appear as someone else. And that's a very interesting phenomenon to really observe, I feel, Because it's something that happens every day, so mundane, but from the mundane, very, very passive, We know it, but we don't really pay much attention to it. But if you really pay attention to it, or maybe just a little bit at least, it says something, Because, I don't know, maybe it talks about almost on a habitual pattern or natural pattern. We are not selfish, maybe. Maybe I'm going too far. And for the fact that we want to look like someone else, or appear as someone else, or sound like someone else, or behave like someone else, might be saying something about, actually, we are kind of okay with others, But then, of course, there are a lot of interruptions and things that doesn't come across that feeling in the most beautiful way, But it's very interesting. So therefore, if you look into a mirror or see a photo of yourself, and if you look at or view what you admire, or who you admire, and so on, who you try to emulate, and so on, it's very interesting. Yeah. Okay, then next. Yes, the jelly leg.
Yeah, the jelly legs.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you have a lot of jelly legs, so to say. And partly that is because don't feel confident, for example, or I don't feel enough energy, and I think I don't have enough skill or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then yesterday, actually, I got very angry with somebody, and then I felt today like, hey, wow, I feel so clear-minded and so focused and so powerful somehow, and in what I want to do, like my mind was so clear, my thinking was so clear, and I could follow Khenpo's words so much more easily than otherwise, and I think this anger gives me so much power, but on the other hand, it's also not so practical to have somebody make you angry all the time in order for you to, like, just be functional, right? So what would be a more sustainable way to use that power?
Well, find a way to make everyone challenge you, I suppose. Kidding. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's our privilege, to go to the end of it. Meaning, I don't know about, I mean, of course, you said power, but I can understand, I can relate to that, in a way that it gives you a lot of energy, yes? It makes you feel alive. It makes you almost feel like you found your center, sort of thing, There's so much clarity. It gives you focus. I'm just quoting Star Wars, okay? But nevertheless, it feels that way, yes? But the thing is, the reason why, I mean, there's a reason why we call ourselves ordinary beings, It's not really to put ourselves down, really, but at the same time, that description somehow fits to us, or to most of us, I don't know, or maybe some of us. Maybe the rest of us are extraordinary, But nevertheless, how to say, we are not brave enough in some ways, Maybe because of our upbringing of good etiquette and moral conduct. Sorry, I cannot see your face so clear. Okay, so yes, thank you. So and therefore, on one hand, we have good upbringing. On the other hand, we have our own emotions, and it's a constant clash, We are not supposed to be angry, but I feel anger, And so therefore, it's always putting each other sort of down, but not going anywhere. Anger is not allowed to exercise its full potential. The good conducts are constantly interrupted by the anger, So, don't misunderstand me by putting it that way. But what I'm trying to say is, theoretically, in our mind, in an abstract way, we can meditate, meaning not to calm yourself down, from anger, but in this case, to really meditate, meaning not exactly think. Okay, maybe one can think in the beginning, to see if one feels that someone else's behavior or attitude sort of fuels my anger, but strangely enough, it gives me great strength, and sense of great vibrancy. What if, more? What if this sort of grows? What if I have the rightful condition to, basically, to say you allow the anger, you allow the strength, maybe not anger, but maybe allow that feeling of power or strength, What if you let it grow into its full potential? How would it be? Maybe we don't really think about it, that often, Meaning, we wish for many things, actually, every day. we aspire for many things. Maybe under the Bodhi tree, with the help of the King of Aspiration prayers, we may have wished for many things, you know. But we really haven't thought through. That's what I'm trying to say. We haven't thought through. Using logic, using how much we know of ourselves and of others, and then create, manifest out of the emptiness a universe, you know, where instead of compassion it's syllable, I don't know, something, and then out of that anger comes into being on a lotus seat or something like that, and then grows into full potential, you know, then how would it be? What will be the result? What will be the consequences, you know? We don't really think too far, actually. Yeah. We just get a glimpse, and before we know it, we withdraw, you know. It's almost like, being very hesitant, you know. So I'm not saying give in to your anger, you know, but in your mind you can think through, let's say, more than all other qualities, maybe anger is the one that's really gives, I don't know, a sense of peace, you know. You never know, you know. What if that's the case? Yeah. And so therefore you think through, in terms of consequences, how will it be, your physical state, your mental state, other state, you know. And that could be a very interesting observation in this case, you know. Rather than saying, no, a teacher comes and says, you don't get angry, you know, and breathe, you're a good person, you are a strong, confident woman, you don't need to be angry and all that. You know, instead of that, what if someone said, be angry, good, you know, and but don't develop this colloquial anger, develop full anger, you know. We have never witnessed full anger, actually. We don't know how it looks like, you know. None of us have seen it. There is no real historical mentioning or a photograph of how anger actually, pure anger looks like. Nobody knows. So, encouragement. No, just observe, you know, and think through. So it could be anything. It can be anger, it can be sadness, it can be disappointment, it can be a negative thought. Think through, you know. And that we have every privilege, you know. And by doing so, we will get a very clear picture of what the result looks like. And then very quickly that illusion of giving strength will disappear, you know. Whereas if someone says, don't be angry, for the time being, the anger might cool, but for the long run, that spark is still there, you know. But if you think through, that's the thing. If you think through, if you work through, then you uproot everything, you know. So you have to allow yourself to play a little bit by thinking how it will be. Who knows, maybe it will give you so much strength, or maybe it won't. It will completely consume you and destroy you, you know. So you have to think through. Did that answer your question? Okay. No, there's a lady there.
Dear Karmapa, thank you for your teachings. My question is about observation.
Okay.
For example, when I meditate on breathing or when I do my observation, sometimes I could feel this rare glimpses of
Anger.
awareness.
Oh,
No.
Great.
this ha, you know. But during the formal meditation, during my nyondro, especially during the building up phase, when I imagine things, I'm too busy building, and I could not observe.
Okay.
Like when, for me, observation is like very open, and imagining is a little bit close.
Okay.
And how to keep observe while imagining or building.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
I think the most practical way is to do the observations before the meditation, and then when there is enough convincing, meaning if, when our mind is quite convinced, calm, and we know, it's sort of like saying we know what we want. And then once you meditate, you don't do the observation too much, or you let go of it basically. And you just, like I said yesterday, you just focus on the technical aspects of the visualization and just let that flow. Yeah. And then that's it. And then you can, post-meditation, then you can do lots of other things. Once again, you can examine to strengthen your confidence, let's say, But during meditation, you can let go of those things, and just focus on the visual steps. You can add on top if it's not clear.
So then, during the building up phase, all this expectation and tightness and, like responsibility appears during the building up phase. So, how to let go all of this?
How to let go of all that during meditation, you mean?
During the building up phase, yes.
During the building up phase, the way I understand it is that from the moment we basically recite the refuge, yes, which is pretty much the first step of that process. From there, then we really don't think too much, actually. Yeah, meaning separately from how our mind is conditioned, Of course, we do some thinking, of course, like to reflect on the nature of samsara or sentient beings, how thankful we are to them, and so on, to build ourselves up, yes. So then to think of the 6 paramitas in terms of why we generate bodhicitta, all that, but that's quite mechanical in a way, I'm not saying we have to be mechanical, but it's in that moment, there's no real room for, other thoughts, actually, It's just, you let that run its course. Yeah. You let that run its course. But prior to that, then we can see, we can ask why, we can question, we can be curious, everything. But once the meditation begins, from the moment of refuge until the dedication, we just let that course, how to say, we just let it run. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, the last one.
Dear Karmapa, I want to come back to this, to your answer about anger, because I think I saw the anger, and because I have the teenager in my house, and he could be really angry. I'm amazed by this anger, actually. But to be honest, the only way I could treat it is to try to call him down, like to tell him, like, breathe or don't be angry. So I suppose from how you treat the anger, it's not a good advice. So how to how to deal with the anger of our children? Not a small, but small. It's not so dangerous. But at this moment, okay.
Okay, I think I understood. There's not much one can do, you know. You will almost interact or react spontaneously, I suppose, in terms of maybe, I suppose that's your child, yes. So therefore, yeah, as a parent, I suppose you will react accordingly, you know, depending on the level of the relation, you know, how close or how not close. There's not much one can do, really, yeah. But the only thing, or one of the things that I can imagine is where you have a slight advantage than other parents, let's say, is not to say, oh, it's because you are Buddhist, you know. But at the same time, it is. Yeah. Is that now you have an idea of a technique called, or a method called observation. You know, it's like having a mental CCTV, something like that. Yeah. Where if you train enough, you know, from today onwards, you know, then it's very easy to develop a habit to have a good recollection of all your thoughts, all your emotions. And so therefore, you could have had a very heated moment, you know, and you want to forget it also. Sure, you can do that also. But at the same time, that habit is there to somehow keep that memory on standby or something like that, you know. And so therefore, it becomes a part of your habit. Actually, of course, no real memory ever gets forgotten, of course. But nevertheless, it's just a way of saying, you know. So therefore, you can revisit that memory, or when you have practiced enough, while you are being angry or while you are in that heated moment, you can see yourself from someone else's position, actually, yeah. And then find it extremely, as I said, strange and peculiar. That it is a perspective of maybe a friend, perspective of a stranger, perspective of maybe your parents, you know, and so on. But to a point where it gives you so many insights, you know, about yourself, about the nature of life, everything. And this happens once. You allow this to happen once, twice, thrice. And the more you do it, the more you let it happen, then once again, without having to be told, without having to be advised, without having to be go to a teacher or a therapy or anything like that, you know, or a self-help something, you know. You yourself see the peculiar aspect of it, strange aspect of it, and you might develop a few laughters maybe, or just maybe some surprise maybe, you know, and then before you know it, something else happens. Yeah. Otherwise, it's normal to tell a friend or to tell your therapist or, I don't know, a spiritual friend or somebody what to do. And they're thinking, don't be angry, you know. It's the most obvious thing to say. Yeah. It's true, you know. It's classic. And so therefore, if there was some sort of what looks like an improvement one day, you know, then you can be thankful to them or for their advices, you know, and so on. But it's not here, not there, you know. It's a very strange package, yeah, that is up there on the shelf that you really don't know what to do with it. Yeah. Whereas that observation is something, you know. It's simple. It's almost childish-like, almost useless, you know, completely useless. But it's not a garbage at all. If it is a garbage, it's a great garbage. It's a good find. Because then you will see that peculiar aspect. That's all we need to see. If we are trying to become a Buddhist, what we really need to see is the peculiar aspect. So therefore, becoming a Buddhist is very, in some ways, similar to becoming a poet or an artist or a comedian, you know. Because you condition yourself to see the peculiar aspect, yeah. A view that not many would, you know, see. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And the 16th verse, was it? Yes. Yes, and then in the 17th verse it says, now, therefore, there is no room for jelly legs or I don't know, or laziness or sleep, all of that. So there's every reason to encourage yourself, not to demean yourself, not to degrade yourself, but to encourage yourself to see that it's a new day, you know. Every day is a new day, you know. Something like that. Not to say tomorrow will be better, you know, but to say today is a new day, or today is a new afternoon, or today is a good evening, you know. So there's a reason why we say good morning, good afternoon. In a way, it's kind of like saying it's an opportunity, you know. It's more like that, I feel. Yeah, good. Of course, remove one O and becomes God morning, God afternoon, God evening. But I think if I know the history a little bit, I think the actual word is something along the line of good, I suppose, because it's, since we are human beings, we know exactly what is what, actually, you know. So therefore, yeah, everything is good, you know. That language is there, and so sometimes extra vowels, sometimes lack of vowels, doesn't matter. Yeah. Buddhists have no objections about anything, any of those things, as long as it helps, you know. And so therefore, yeah, it's a good opportunity. It's a good morning. It's a good day. It's a good evening. And by utilizing or seizing that moment, then all good things happen. Yes, so then it says that Buddha has spoken. Basically saying, and the why we name someone Buddha, or why someone is named Buddha, is basically saying someone has complete experience or complete understanding, or the best way we put it so far is completely awakened, and so therefore has seen many yesterdays, has seen great many yesterdays, yester months, years, and so on. So if you can put it that way, someone who has lived a long a life, meaning someone who had many yesterdays, yester months, yester years, if you can call that experience, then we can very clearly address someone like Shakyamuni as a Buddha. Because if there is yesterday, eventually it leads to a former life or something, And so, therefore, we don't have to believe that, about former lives completely. None of us really believe it, actually. But it's an interesting idea for us, I think. Yeah. Whether we are Buddhists or not, it's a very interesting idea. It gives ample room, but it's possible that that idea could really make us lazy, So in that sense, Buddhists are, in a way, strangely not so enthusiastic. Buddhists are quite lazy, whereas non-Buddhists are very enthusiastic, very productive, Buddhists, for some reason, not so productive. Yeah. So that's there. Okay, now I lost. Shakyamuni Buddha, yes, awakened experience. It doesn't take, I think, too long to untangle most of our confusions, actually. Yeah. That's why Shakyamuni Buddha, one could say, Milarepa, one could say, they did it, and they are known for it, that they entangled everything within their lifetime. It's possible, in that sense. Because you allow yourself the room about the timeless aspects of everything, of the whole phenomena, and yes, that calms the mind, But all you have to do is just somehow, not exactly reverse, but from the moment you can remember, you can call that a beginning, and that's it, simple. So it's not about whether there is rebirth or there isn't rebirth. It's not really an issue, But in theory, one could say, we allow that idea of rebirth because it's very relaxing, It's very interesting. It, it gives you so much space, actually. Yeah. Otherwise, it just becomes, this is it, and it feels very limited. And so, yeah. But otherwise, let's say, from the moment you discovered about the so-called Buddha Dharma, I don't know when it started for each of you, let's say. Or, in other words, when you began to be curious, basically. And so, from that moment onwards, you go backwards until the moment you can remember in this lifetime, And then if you kind of revisit, not to make them real or anything, but you can just revisit that memory at least, and then see how strange it is, It is somehow, one way or another, it is due to those upbringing, the various habits, traditions, languages, grammar, phrases, sentences, verbs, nouns, adjectives, all of that, that somehow constituted this so-called me, right now. Yeah. And so therefore, for the, I don't know, next however many years or whatever, it's just about sort of understanding or trying to observe how all that webbing took place, how that knitting or how that tapestry was sort of formed. That's it. And before you know it, you are, you are how to say, you are quite clear, you are quite clear, entangled, in many ways. And then you can appreciate everything. You can appreciate all the advices, teachings, the very many precious teachings, and at the same time not be under any form of how to say, don't know how to use the word. I haven't used that word in my vocabulary. So, neurotism, is it? Yeah? Huh? Neurosis, yes. That's it. Neurosis or whatever. Okay, I got the hang of it now. Yes. Yes, so that's it. Yeah. And that's about it. So it can happen, realistically speaking or logically speaking, it can happen within one lifetime. It's possible. Yeah. So therefore, give yourself the encouragement. Give yourself the encouragement that you can do it. And so, millions of examples that are given. I think that's what it says in the 18th stanza. That if he, or the next ones, that if you can see how hardworking bees or hornets, or basically almost all animals, how hardworking they are when they create their nests, when they look after their young ones, when they look after themselves, when they feed themselves, when they take care of themselves, protect themselves, how much effort goes into it, and they have very extremely short lifespan, and yet within that such brief short lifespan they can do wonders. So if they can do it, we have the most interesting body, or the most interesting condition. Whether it's a human condition or not, it doesn't matter. And so whether we have one arm or two arms, doesn't matter. We can do amazing things. And so, from a worldly point of view, just how much we can do, how much we can accomplish. And in the case of the Shakyamuni Buddha, then for over, if you read the Jataka tales, maybe they may be just tales and nothing more, doesn't matter. But it's very interesting, isn't it? Very inspiring. Each religion has their own stories. We have Jataka tales. And so, yes, whether he was born a human being, whether he was born as a human or an animal, didn't matter. From whichever angle, continue to be diligent, to helping others, be it in the most basic way, and it contributed, And so in this case, why not, yeah? Why not us? Buddha started from an insect, maybe, from a cell, maybe. Maybe he was just one of the many cells, a very noble cell somewhere of somebody or something. But we are starting, our starting point is from the human platform. Wow, how vast a, difference and contrast. We are infinitely, we have a better starting point. Yeah. So in that sense, we can do better than Shakyamuni in a way. So in that sense, with that kind of attitude, then we have to begin to see ourselves that, to appreciate our rebirth. Of course, that's all obvious. Yes, so okay, so then we stop there, I think verse 18th, and then we now do the 𝐁𝐨𝐝𝐻𝐿𝐸 meditation, followed by the long mantra of Mahakala. So your homework is then none other than to read, of course, particularly this chapter, but if you have time to read from the first chapter, knowing the quality of the bodhicitta is very, very inspiring. So therefore, from there, then you read as much as you can, But don't bore yourself. You read to a point where you feel like, I think I want to read the next verse, Then you immediately stop it. Yeah. That's the trick, yeah? So like that, please read. You'll enjoy, you'll be happy, you'll feel good, you'll feel encouraged, you'll have a good sleep, you'll have good digestion. Everything will be good.
Guru Son Ba Jen Jire Yon Ma Ye Jire Yon Chara Wan La Ma Ga Ro Bara Chara Ve Gon Jen La Guru De Yere Me Do Bara Chen Je Loi 𝐿𝐈 𝐁𝐨𝐝𝐴 다제 곰데 제베 선한테 돌라이 벤저레 산제 저바라쇼 산제 최다 조지 초나일라 찬주 바라다 다네 자소제 다제 곰데 돌라이 벤저레 산제 저바라쇼 다소이 가져와 샘제제 제조이 베가라 다베테 젤레 바조이 제레세 코로살라이 베제레 가덴초이 제조이 도제 젠제세 저제 담보 오네 셰제 베가라이 놈 다라도이 렌제 젠제제 제다 바베 데요 솔로이 어바이 메베 오젠젠 샤네 도제 제조쇼 제멘 다왈 자덴바 자네 근두잉 오버라 저라이 초보이 젠제 마그이 근도이 걸 조소인 제제 월라이젠 도제 젠제 졸라이세 제레세 라이 차자일로이 초보이 젠제 마그이 근도이 걸 조소인 도제 젠제 졸라이세 제레세 라이 차자일로이 초보이 젠제 마그이 근도이 걸 조소인 제제 월라이젠 도제 젠제 졸라이세 제레세라 차자일로이 바바이 제레세 완타 Shamazir Ramo Lazo Wanjara Yeje Janem Bul Pabe Choje Shezo Zolon Toma Mene Dadevar Meje Jeda Chamenga Sene Nyamoy Wanjara Be Deba Damje Shabaraje Yende Ranjaloi Janjo Sem Sozoi Dewa Lazoi Be Tezoi Dewa Jezoi Be Senamai Lane Semje Namje Zambai Dang Lo Ye Che Dai Che Dai War Che Zhong Da Moi Te Bai Ye Che Je Kora Loi Kora Doi Soloi Kora Wai Je Ze Ma Doi Bar Nyanye Me Dai To Je Ye Dong Ai Ja Zui Chen Wai Ye Sem Je Da Je Ze Noi Je Zai Ba Tam Je Chan Je Jere Je Ne Rembo Me Doi Jo Wai Ye Jembe Palai Doi Dai Jere Je Te Dara Je Je Solai Dai Be Pa Be Ge Le Ge Sere Choi Ma Dai Le Noi Choi Je Jang Chene De Wai Chen Je Zheng Le Sem Che Re Ze Wai Ge Zon Doi Nanda Re Doi Yere Me Jere Wai Mane Be Me Hoi Wai Mane Be Me Hoi Oi Mane Be Me Hoi Wai Man Be Me Hoi Oi Mane Be Me Hoi Ma